Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to give a quick video and explain what you should be doing when it comes to reading the text, and then how to go ahead and fill out your form notes as you are going along with this. This textbook, the Oxford Companion for IB History, World Authoritarian States, this can get a little bit intense, to put it quite nicely from the start. You are going from being in grade 10, where you are focusing on pretty much a high school reading level up until IB history, which tends to be at about a college level reading level. So there's going to be a bit of a jump, which can prove to be very, very challenging. Now, with that being said, if you are patient and you follow these steps that I'm going to be giving you, it is not going to be near as challenging as it might sound. Now, the first thing you definitely want to do is you always want to read the global context, okay? The global context is going to be at the beginning of each of these chapters, and it's going to explain exactly what is going on in the world at the time of this leader coming into power. Okay, so it's important that you read this and that you understand what's happening. Now, if you're reading something and you're a little bit confused, that's a good time to reach out and contact me. Or you can also just go ahead and Google something and try to figure out what's going on. That's going to really, really make your life a lot easier. The second thing you definitely want to look at is the timeline, okay? Now, this is a timeline over their entire rule. And really, for like example right here, okay, we're seeing Egypt's going to become a British protectorate because that's crucial when it comes to understanding Nasser, okay, and what Nasser is arguing for. So it's important to understand the timeline and really what's happening, the major different events going on. You do not need to memorize this, but it's good to understand kind of what's happening. It also is going to be important to look back at here when you see an event mentioned in the reading, to go back and look in the timeline and see, okay, so this is before the Israeli raid on Gaza, but it's going to be after Egypt's going to become a republic. Okay, so we can figure out it's going to be right in that 1953 to 1955 era. Oh, this is what also is happening at this time. Okay, the Muslim Brotherhood is going to be outlawed. Oh, we're going to have this different thing happening right here. There's going to be an assassination attempt on Nasser. So these individual things right through here, it kind of helps you put it in that global perspective, which is really going to make this entire thing easier for you as you continue to work on the reading. Now, once you get the understanding of the overall concept of this leader and kind of what's going on, then you're going to move into the individual chapters. Okay, so on Nasser, it's going to be 1.1. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look at the 3 key questions, okay, however many key questions they are. You're going to want to read those in advance. Now, the reason you want to read them in advance is when you actually read a question, your brain's going to kind of zone in on what you should be looking at from the start. Okay, so when you read something that's going to be answering that question, you're going to kind of naturally pick up on it if you read those key questions in advance. Now, for my class, you will be answering these key questions later on, so it's important to read them right now as we are going through before you begin the reading. The second thing you want to do is you want to look at the key concepts, okay? Causation, significance, and change. Okay, these are going to be the concepts that are going to be consistently coming up as you read through this unit, so it's important to kind of understand exactly what's happening in relation to causation. So what's causing this individual event that's being discussed to happen? Why is it significant, and how does it provide a change from what was happening before? Okay, so make sure you understand those different things as you are reading. Everything is going to be making a lot more sense if you have that in the back of your mind when you start. Okay, then you are going to get into the individual sections. Now, the first thing you obviously want to read is the title, because it's going to kind of explain what's happening. Now, this is probably not a bad time to go and reference the event being discussed, okay, with the individual thing along in the timeline. Okay, so we see, if we look down here, the coup d'etat was in 1952. We're looking up here, okay, so we know previously there's going to be massive strikes refusing to work for British companies, okay. Oh, and we're also going to be seeing this kind of stuff right over here. The free officers seizing power, the coup, okay, King Farouk's going to abdicate. We know this is going to be happening later on. Okay, we're going to see some agrarian law reforms later on. So it's kind of nice to understand roughly what's going on in this time period so we understand what's happening and what we're going to be reading about as well. Then my recommendation is to take this paragraph by paragraph and make sure you understand what that paragraph is stating before you move on to the next paragraph. If you are struggling with reading it paragraph by paragraph and you can't understand that, then I would say take it sentence by sentence until it makes sense, okay? So making sure you're going through, trying to figure this out right through here. That is going to be one thing that's going to help you and make sure it makes sense. Do not move on to the next paragraph if you do not understand what is being stated in the paragraph above. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Do not move on if you do not understand what is being stated in the paragraph above. Doing so is just going to make you more confused, and it's going to be harder to understand. Take it paragraph by paragraph as you are reading. Now, if you're doing this in a physical textbook, I would highly recommend you write notes and kind of summarize what is being stated in each section and each paragraph after you go through and do the reading, just as a way of making life a little bit easier for you. Okay, so for example, if I were to be reading this, I'm going to read this section, the coup d'etat of 1952. I'm going to read these first two paragraphs, then off on the side, I'm going to write like a one-sentence summary of what happened. Okay, this is going to be used for my own reference, so I can go back here and see what's happening. If I quickly need a little bit of a review, oh, this is talking about this, which is going to make life easier for me when I am studying. Okay, so that's going to be one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to highlight the key important things that are happening right through in here. When it comes to dates, okay, don't really specifically worry so much about the exact date so much as focusing on roughly when it's happening. Okay, so again, we don't need to know exactly July 23rd, 1952, but if we understand 52, okay, it's right around this different era. Before this, after this, we're going to be good to go. Okay, so that is one thing that you do definitely want to be doing as well. The next thing you want to do is when you're going to see stuff like this, okay, the highlighted words, make sure you understand what those words are. If you think you know, double check over here in that blue box to make sure you really understand what is being discussed, because if you have a different meaning of a word that's being discussed here, you think it means one thing when it actually means something else, it's going to be more confusing for you. You're going to have a hard time understanding what is being discussed. So do make sure that you understand everything that's being discussed, the terms right through here. If you are reading something earlier and it's not one of these highlighted vocab words and you don't know what that word means, look it up. Okay, Google it. If that still does not make sense, contact me, reach out, and I will explain what's going on for you right through there. Alrighty, now the last thing you want to be doing as you go through and do your reading is to be looking at your form notes. Now I have broken your form notes down into one section for Hitler and one section for Nasser. So whenever you talk about something in here, okay, that's going to relate to something, or look at something in your reading that's going to relate to something over here, you're going to want to write that down. Now these form notes are just for you, so you need to write them in a way that makes sense for you. Okay, so for example, if we're talking about the weakness of the political system, I'm looking over here. Okay, already we have a coup d'etat taking place, which is going to be showing that our political system is apparently pretty weak if we can have a coup that is effective. Okay, so we could mention something like right here, coup d'etat 1952. I can also notice, okay, if we're looking back up here, we see right here King Farouk is going to abdicate. Okay, that has to do with the weakness of the political system. The king is going to abdicate. Okay, I'm going to be filling this stuff in as I do the reading, because my goal of the form notes is that you, by the end, can just look at your form notes and have all the information you need without having to go back and look at the textbook. Okay, so filling out the form notes as you go through with the reading. If you have questions about something as you're going through in the reading, highlight it, okay, mark it down, take note of it. If you're doing it on a physical text, you can do that. If you save this PDF on your own computer, there are programs where you can edit PDFs. That would be a good idea as well, and then you can contact me to make sure that you get the information you need so that you understand what is being discussed. That is all for this set video. If you have questions, comments, anything like that, please do reach out. I'm happy to explain the answers to you. Otherwise, take care, good luck, and welcome to IB History.